Hi Photofyers, welcome to our YouTube series where we're going to be answering your questions and sharing tips and tricks to use with the Photofy app. I am Casey and I'm here to answer a question today from Jessica. And I'm going to paraphrase a little bit. She says, I'm used to using on my laptop, so adjusting to doing things with Photofy on my phone is taking me a bit of practice. She's one of our enterprise users, and they have paid for it for us. So I'm trying to learn to use it. My question and major frustration is this: how on earth do I click on various elements of my design to edit them? I have a little box that shows up around whichever thing I have selected. But with Photofy, I tap, double tap, etc., and I end up moving the wrong things or adjusting the background instead of the object or text. Is there a way to select just the one item I want? Well, Jessica, I'm glad you've chosen Photofy for your photo editing needs. And you're right, adjusting to a mobile platform instead of a desktop can be a little bit of a learning curve. But the good news is if you've been using Canva, you're going to pick up Photofy with no problem. So we're going to show my screen. We're just going to walk right through how you create an image, and then we'll take a look at how you edit some of the features that you put inside of the image. So we'll start with an interesting background. Gosh, that one looks nice. Now we have thousands and thousands of stock photos that you can use. This is just one of them. And I am going to overlay a few things. The first thing I'll do is put some artwork on there. Can't go wrong with an Elvis Presley quote. I'm not going to do a lot of editing on this because the purpose of this is that we come back later and try a few other options. Let's stick a sticker on here as well, just to make it look interesting. All right, let's add an American flag. Can't go wrong with that. Now we have a couple of items here on our image that we're creating. We have a quote that's all in white against a very light background. It's a little bit difficult to see, and I have a sticker, just a little overlay that I added in here that we're going to want to resize and move around. Now, there are three elements on this screen. If I had added in text, there would have been a fourth. We can edit text basically the same way that we edit both of these things. So now, what Jessica is describing is touching in your picture somewhere and accidentally selecting the background, which can happen. Especially on smaller phone screens, it can be difficult to select exactly the right thing that you want to select. But in general, if you touch exactly what you want, you'll see a box outline around it. Now I'm on a Samsung Galaxy S10. If you're on an iPhone, it may look a little bit different than this. If you're on a different size Android screen, obviously things may size up and down. But if I touch it, you can see the square. It's only going to stay there for a minute. Touch it, and then you can move things around. So one thing that I'm going to do so we can see all of the elements is shrink this down a little bit. You'll see there's a different tool at every corner. The top left corner is an X. If I want to delete it, I can click the X and delete this. The top right corner, there's the little three dots, and that gives me a kind of a contextual menu. I can move things forward and backwards. So if I wanted this to actually be in front of the American flag, which I do, I'm going to move it forward so that it's on top of it. And I can touch this, move it around, pinch and zoom. You also can touch the little edit circle. That's so if I touch it, the little edit circle shows up. That's there's an edit button on the iPhone. So the same functionality, it just looks a little bit different. So here I can use a size slider if that's a little bit more intuitive for you, especially on smaller screens. Sometimes it can be difficult to pinch and zoom exactly the way you want it to. So you can use the sliders there. You can rotate things with this slider as well, all the way around 360 degrees. You can change your opacity up and down, which I think it actually looks pretty sweet being a low opacity. against the mountain. It still looks a little difficult to see though. So what I'm going to do now is just add a kind of a shadow to this. We'll do a black shadow so that you can see it against the very light sky. Now click the check mark. That sets the shadow in place, but I still come back to the edit screen when I'm done with my text. I can click the check mark again and I'm done. I can always come back and touch it and still get the same tools that pop up around the corner and the ability to move it around, pinch and zoom, change things as I want to, or click the edit button down toward the bottom of the image and do more granular editing. Now I also have this American flag. Now you'll see that one of the things that I do is I touch it before I move it. You can just touch it and move it around, but I like to know that I actually selected the right thing. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller, put this right underneath Elvis Presley's name. So here I can also edit this image. Now on some images you'll see the spectrum tool is gone. That's because these colors are locked in place. You can't change the color. If I were to touch, if I'm done with that, and then I touch up here, you'll see I do have a spectrum tool. I can change the color of my text if I want to. I don't want to. I like white on this. You'll also notice that if I'm here and I'm editing, I can't touch the American flag or the background. When I touch and edit the thing that I want to edit, I'm isolated just to that item. It's a great way to make sure you're always editing the right thing. So I'm going to click the check mark and be done. I'm going to edit this a little bit, and let's take the opacity way down and really do this up. I don't know that quote goes with an American flag, but it works. So I'm done with this photo now. If I wanted to, I can touch on the background now, and I can move the background around because I touched that. I can zoom in, I can zoom out. Some really cool options you can do with the zoomed in backgrounds. We'll cover that on a different video. You can also touch it and click replace, and I can find a totally different image to stick on there. That is not very pretty, but it's done. I'm going to click done, and I go to the share screen. And Jessica, you have just edited all of the elements that go into a Photofy image. I hope this video was helpful for you. If you need anything else, please comment below, and we will answer any of your questions. And we'll be covering some tips and tricks in the coming days. Thanks.